I'm so thrilled today to be joined by two very wonderful people, Jaccob and Kylie Slavin. I had the pleasure of meeting these two individuals a few years back at an HMI camp in Jacob's home state of Colorado. And I was so taken by your guys' humility and energy that you and Jaccob, your family, put into that camp and everyone there. It was just an incredible experience, and I think being able to see you guys serve in that capacity was really enriching, at least for me, and I know the lives impacted on that week were far-reaching, and the work that you guys are continuing to do, both in Raleigh and Colorado, wherever you guys land, is certainly incredible. You guys have been, I think, approaching 5 years of marriage in August, and so I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, and rather than me do these formal little introductions, I think I'll put you on the spot, and maybe Jacob, if you could introduce Kylie, and then Kylie introduce Jacob, I think that would be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first off, thanks for having us.
Yes.
We're excited to be here and just to share with you and whoever's listening to this. This is my wife, Kylie.
I'm nervous.
Made me nervous.
Nervous about what you're going to say about me.
No, don't be. No, she's awesome, though. Honestly, she's my best friend. Like you said, we're coming up on 5 years of marriage, and these past 5 years have been awesome. God has grown us in a lot of ways. It's challenged us in a lot of ways, and but I wouldn't have chosen anyone else to be with during this time rather than Kylie, and so it's been great to have her by my side. What can I say about Kylie? Oh man, this is where you should be nervous. No, she's fun. She's lighthearted. She is a 2 on the Enneagram.
Enneagram.
She is a 2. For those of you who know what that is, and so she loves to serve people. She cares about others much quicker than she would care about herself. And recently, over the past year, I guess she's blossomed into the amazing mom that she is to her daughter. And so, no, I love that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
This is Jacob, and his career is kind of boring. Plays in the NHL. But that's like the least cool thing about him, in my opinion. It's really cool that he plays hockey, but best dad in the entire world. So playful and fun and just interactive with our daughter. And with me, most competitive person I've ever met in my life, but like humbly competitive. Like he'll kick your butt in anything, but then still like give you a hug afterwards, even whenever you're mad that you lost. So he makes it to like, I can't be mad that I lost to him and everything. But most athletic, genuine, humble, fun person I've ever met. So, which is why I married him. But
we have fun together.
We do.
We have a lot of fun together.
Lots of competitions. Everything is competition.
Marriage after 5 years, it's not boring, and I don't know if it ever will be, because I didn't point out how competitive Kylie is as well. And so I think you can kind of tell from it just there without talking about how much she loses. But no, she is competitive, and so it's fun.
Yes.
I've tuned in once or twice to, I think you guys have a bit of a wall ball game going on.
Volleyball.
Who's on top there?
Him.
Not this guy right here.
It's not fair. His wingspan is like double mine.
Yeah.
So he has a
She
much
played
longer
volleyball
range.
in high school, though. I've never
It's so
played
different than volleyball. It's a fun game. But even that started from me hitting a volleyball against a wall, and then we turned it into a game, and we had to like draw out lines and do everything. I'm like, this needs to be a drawn out game if we're gonna play this. So
Yeah, it was fairly elaborate from what I could see. It obviously showed both your guys' competitiveness, so I can definitely see that.
Yes.
From a athletic game to a board game, it's always competitive. So
That's awesome. And like Kylie said, Jacob is a member of the Carolina Hurricanes. He's in the midst, I guess I should say, in the midst of his 5th season with the Canes, who drafted him in 2012. Before the Hurricanes, Jacob played for Colorado College, where he picked up several accolades, including Rookie of the Year and First Team All-Star honors in his 2nd year there. And he also had the opportunity to represent your country in the 2014 World Juniors, which is a huge tournament here in Canada. We follow that tournament faithfully, and so that's really cool. And then interestingly, at the 2012 World Junior A Challenge in Yarmouth, Nova Scotia, of all places, you left with a gold medal. Maybe speak to your experience in Nova Scotia.
Oh man, it was cold. There wasn't. I remember being able to walk to a Tim Hortons though, so that was nice. I love their chocolate Timbits. I could eat those all night long, I think. But no, I remember one time we went to a curling spot there in Nova Scotia, and that was a lot of fun. That was my first time curling. And then the rink we were at were great. I think there were a lot of local fans that came out for the championship game, and so that was awesome. But yeah, very cold. I think we were there during, I think, January, so yeah, very cold. But no, it was fun.
That's awesome. So we've been touching base with kind of our guests of the clinic or friends of the clinic, we've been saying, and so we've been typically asking them, hey, what have you been up to since we last saw you in August? But for you guys, I think it would be really great to back that timeline up a little bit. And so I'm going to ask, why don't you share a little bit briefly about your background, maybe how you guys met, and maybe really get into your past year with all that's happened. I know with the addition of your beautiful family, the playoff run you guys went on, Jacob, and then recently the All-Star appearance. I'd love to hear your guys' perspective and kind of be able to share what the last year has been and also kind of what has led up to that.
Yeah, I typically share the story of how we met, but I might let you share because I'm going to be talking about all the other stuff.
Oh, well, okay. Well, we were both 18. So, and at that time there wasn't like Instagram or Tinder or anything like that, but him and I were both on Twitter, and he somehow found me. I had like quite a bit of random followers, people I didn't really know, and then so we don't even know who the mutual friend was.
I was playing hockey in Chicago at this point in my junior career, and she lived in Illinois, but that really has nothing to do with how we met. Just
long story short, we met on Twitter, and then we did but I'll leave out that part. I was going to say I made you work for it. But
no, she made me work for it. She didn't follow me back. And so that's a very quick snapshot of how we met. So met on Twitter.
Yes. But then in person, 3 weeks after we met, since he was only a few hours from me, he drove down, met my family, met me. And then we did long distance dating for a year and a half. Yeah. And then he was in his sophomore year of college. And so I moved in with a family friend of his who lived in Colorado and just rented a room from them so that we could be closer to each other. And then just worked out there while he went to college. And then we got married the next summer. And then moved
we got married, sophomore or summer.
Yeah, going into junior year.
Yep. And then that's when I signed my first contract with the Canes. And then we got married in August, moved out here a week later. And now we've been in Raleigh for the past almost 5 years. And so, but the last year as a whole, it's been awesome. And so I guess we'll kind of start with the playoff run that was made. I don't want to say we snuck into the playoffs, but our season last year kind of came, I think we clinched with 3 games to go. And so that was exciting. First time the Canes have been back in the playoffs for 10 years. Yep. And so it was really exciting, but also just hectic because, like you said, we have a new addition to our family. Emerson is our daughter who just turned 1 on April 12th. And so with her birthday being April 12th, playoffs started on April 11th. And so she's adopted, and her birth mother was supposed to be induced on April 10th. And so we were in the city to where she was supposed to be born at, and it ended up not happening. And so the team had flown to Washington, D.C. on the 10th. And so the first game's on the 11th. So I met them in D.C. on the 11th. I flew out early that morning. We played game 1 that night. And then on the 12th, I was getting ready to go to practice, and I get a call from Kylie in the morning saying, hey, she's going into labor. Baby's being born today. Get here as quick as you can. And I'm kind of freaking out. And I'm like, okay. And so I went to tell my coach, like, hey, baby's being born. Can I go, kind of thing? And he was like, yep, do what you got to do. Get down there. And
Carolina was amazing throughout all of the stuff.
And so that was super cool.
So good.
And so not randomly, but thankfully our owner was flying back from DC to Dallas the same day Emerson was born. And he was like, yeah, we'll drop you off in Charlotte on our way. I'll tell the pilot to make a pit stop. And so it was super awesome. God worked that out in a wonderful way to where I could be there the day she was born. And so I was there. I got there probably midday, probably a couple hours after Emerson was born, with them all night. And then we played again on the 13th. And so I think it was a 3 o'clock game too. And so I had to fly back early in the morning from North Carolina to DC.
It's like a 7 a.m. flight.
Yeah, it was super duper early. And so I got to DC, we played the game, and then we flew back to Raleigh with the team. And then our team chaplain picked me up from the airport and drove me straight down to where Emerson was born.
It's about 3 hours away.
Yeah.
So this guy was tired. Exhausted.
Because Sunday was discharge day, and so we had to drive back up to Raleigh after on Sunday, and then play game 3 on Monday. And so it was just back and forth, and it was crazy. But it was
Well,
awesome.
it was really crazy because if they had been on the opposite schedule and they played the opposite days of what they did, then he would not have been there for the day that she was born, the day that we drove home, anything. And so God really planned that out perfectly.
That was our biggest prayer, is just that it would work out, and it definitely worked out.
Never missed a game, missed some practices.
But yeah, no. So, but then first round was crazy against Washington, went into game 7, and then the whole time Emerson's being first week of life, whatever it is. I think she went to her first hockey game at 5 days old and had her little headphones on and pretty much slept through the whole thing. And that's a hard arena to sleep through because PNC was loud during playoffs, very loud. And so that was super cool. And then, the playoff run was awesome. The double OT game against Washington was really cool, special. And then just making it to the Eastern Conference Finals was awesome. A lot of fun, definitely the best hockey to be a part of, and actually being able to experience the hype you see as kids growing up watching playoff hockey, and then to be able to experience it was something special. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously then the All-Star appearance this year, and you won the shooting accuracy competition, if I'm correct there.
Stars where they shot from up in the arena and up in the stands, and he was like, man, I really hope I get that, because he came in because Dougie Hamilton was hurt, and so he was just going to get thrown into some event, and he was like, I really hope I get that one, because that one takes the least amount of skill, because I don't feel like I'm skilled enough to be here. And then he gets put in the shooting competition, and then he wins, and I'm like, that's just so Jacob.
It was awesome, and I watched that and then read a little later that maybe you took some advice from, I think it was Eric Stahl. He kind of shared some advice with you. You're able to go out and win. I definitely was pretty excited when I saw that. Kind of helps us transition to our second question here, because obviously we've all received advice at some point in our lives. And so I'd love for you guys to share, maybe as you look back and reflect on the year that you guys have had. And I'd love for you guys to share, maybe there's been advice or experience that you guys have had, and maybe in your younger years even, that you now carry with you and play a really important role in your lives today.
You want to go first, or
you go first?
Okay. I think when I've been asked this question a couple times, and I think the first thing that always pops into my mind, at least, is something that my dad always just told me growing up. He said, Jake, make sure you work as hard as you can, stay humble, and keep God first. And so that's kind of always stuck with me, is I can control, the only thing I can really control is how hard I'm going to work, whether that's on the ice or off the ice. Especially now being a father off the ice, I can't control what Emerson's going to do, but I can control how I act around her and the things that I say around her, or the things that I can control. But then on the ice, especially, the abilities I have are given to me from God, and then so all I can do with that is work as hard as I can with the abilities He's given me. But then staying humble, obviously, I think is huge. God calls us to a life of humility, and so I definitely want to stay humble. But then the most important part of all that is just keeping God first in everything that we do, and giving Him all the glory for it. And so that's something that's really stuck with me through my life, and especially in my pro career so far, is just really making sure we're keeping God first in everything that we do.
Yeah. And I'd say for me, this is something that I don't always listen to, and I see whenever I don't listen to this advice or this truth, that things start to get more hectic. But just how, no matter how busy life gets, whether I'm a mom or we're traveling, or even before I was a mom, we were just busy with hockey life and different things, just how important it is to make sure that, like he said, my personal relationship with Jesus comes before everything. Because when I'm not nurturing that relationship, then everything seems to be chaos. But whenever you have your heart set on Jesus and eternity, things just, even if things don't fall together perfectly, and things aren't perfect just because, you know, you're a Christian. It just gives you a much more sound state of mind when you're looking towards eternity rather than all of your circumstances. And so especially as a mom, it's so hard in the early days to like have a routine and do this and that, because you don't know what a baby's going to do and when they're going to sleep and when they're not going to sleep. And I saw just myself becoming more and more distant with the Lord. And but recently have really started prioritizing that relationship more, and just seeing so much fruit from it, and just so much just more inner peace from that. And just not that I wasn't saved in the time that I wasn't spending more time with Jesus, but just that he was really calling me back and was like, no, I want, you know, our relationship to come first because it's good for you. And so yeah, just really making sure that in all seasons of life that my relationship with Jesus comes before any other relationship.
Yeah, that's so good. And I know, Kylie, you recently celebrated a birthday, and Jacob,
Yeah.
you'll be celebrating a birthday. Actually, I believe when this video will drop May 1st. So as you guys maybe reflect, as you typically do on your birthday on the past year, and understanding the current situation that we are in here in such uncertain times, we've been asking our guests, and we'd love to hear from you guys, of what has been a source of comfort, what's been a source of encouragement for you guys, and what has really grounded you in these times?
For me, just honestly, just Jesus, like that, just knowing that he is sovereign over everything. And that can cause a lot of questions as well as a lot of comfort, because it's like, well, if you're in control of everything, then why can't you stop this? You know, but at the same time, just trusting in his sovereignty and trusting that he is good despite what's going on, and just that you know, he everything he does is for his glory and for our good. And that's just really been the only stable ground that we can stand on, because I mean, we can have this nice house with all these things and nice cars in the driveway and stuff, but it's like when something like this happens, you just realize like nothing matters. Like those things can be gone in a minute, and your hope really has to be found in something else. And we just talked about that on a walk the other day, and how, you know, like before, just, you know, we would say to ourselves like, oh, like if you were to ask us, no, our hope isn't in material things, our hope isn't in this or that, but you know, we see those things, we see more of our idols whenever everything's stripped away from us. We see what we miss the most, and that can even be good things, like, you know, friendships and different things. We can really idolize those things, but really just having to find our hope in the Lord, and that's it, you know, because that's the only hope we have is eternity with him. So for me, that's really been the only firm ground, I guess.
Yeah, and I think Kylie hit it right on there. But no, it's been a crazy time, because obviously being an NHL hockey player, my schedule is pretty set in stone once the season comes out of, okay, you're going to be in this city here, you're going to be in this city there, at this date here, playoffs are going to start here. But now all that's obviously thrown out the window, and it's kind of like summertime to where I'm completely off, but it's not, because there's still a possibility we're going to play hockey and finish off the season. And so it's really been a weird time for me mentally, of just being a full-time dad, but also making sure I'm staying in shape, but not being able to go into the rink. And so just the routine of life is kind of thrown into whack. But it's really made me slow down, and that's something I'm not very good at, is being just kind of, I'm good with going with the flow, but with still having a routine within that flow. And so it's been a weird time, but it's been a really good time as well, of just making sure I'm first off dedicated to the Lord. And so I've always struggled with a consistent prayer life, and so that's something that God's really put on my heart to be working on during this time. And then obviously I want to be loving my wife well and loving my daughter well. And so that's been super fun to just be able to spend that much time with them and be able to help out around the house, and realize that being a full-time mom is way harder of a job than being an NHL hockey player. And so I appreciate everything that my wife has done over the past year while I'm off playing hockey and staying in nice hotels and everything. And so, but no, and then just trying to trust God through all of this. And obviously on the other side of this, when this is all said and done, I feel like a lot of people are going to learn a lot from this, but I'm just praying that God gets the glory through all of it, and praying that those who didn't know the Lord before all of this happened come to know the Lord through this. it's definitely a tough time, and no one's ever been through something like this. And so, like Kylie said, we really have to figure out where our hope is found during this time.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I really appreciate you guys sharing that good word. I do really appreciate you guys taking the time to check in with us. I know maybe one of these days you'll be able to make it down to Nova Scotia, perhaps in the summer when it's a little bit warmer. So really appreciate your time again.
Yes, absolutely. No, thank you for having us.